When will we admit that social media is the root cause of so many societal, economic, mental and political issues in this country and globally, and why are we all willfully letting it continue?
So that is a massive area. What are the key problems for you?
It seeps into every single kind of aspect of life, like, not to call you out, but like taking a selfie at the start of this to advertise. You know, it's not an issue, but we're here, enjoy it. Like, I'm a musician, and our music gets...
You do surprise me. I'm shocked by that.
Summarised by how many likes and followers we have on Spotify and Instagram, instead of the value of what we've created. And it's a real shame. And I think we're seeping our willpower to, in a sense, a very small handful of uber-rich people who are just probably laughing at us, discussing kind of, to them, trivial things like this. And we're all just wasting our time and having our willpower sold to the highest bidder.
OK, so look, we've got 5 minutes, so you're all going to have to be really brief. And this is your brief.
This is true completely, right? Except in the case of the content put out by myself and No Justice on social media, which is just wall-to-wall bangers.
Absolutely.
All the time.
The highest quality political commentary you can find.
True.
So I appreciate that. So that's tricky for you, Peter. Alex?
So I 100% agree with you. I think that one of the things that has really become so evident to me post-COVID is how much we are lacking connection in society, and we have a loneliness epidemic. You know, Putnam wrote the infamous Bowling Alone in the 1970s about how people were bowling alone, right? So there was the decline of youth clubs and scouts and churches and all that stuff, right? Imagine how much worse it is 50 years on. You know, pubs are closing at a rapid rate. Like,
Hang on a
people
minute.
are lonely and they're dying in their house.
So you said at the start, I could totally agree. People are lonely, right? And I'm like, and then you named all of these economic problems, all of these third spaces that were publicly funded and had that public funding cut so that we could bail out banks, for example, or send money to Ukraine. And now you're out here going, okay, all these economic problems, so the social media is the problem. No, neoliberalism is the problem.
Yeah.
It is the commodification of everything, including our own time. Social media is just the newest facet of the commodification of our own time, because they're literally trying to colonize your time to try and target adverts at you. That's nothing to do with the concept of talking to people on the internet. That's capitalism. That's neoliberalism. That is the only understanding the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Literally, yeah. Also, in terms of loneliness, surely social media is one of the ways in which loneliness can be avoided in quite a lot of cases in a way that it couldn't have been in previous generations.
Quite so, you know, exactly. Talking to people, having interactions is genuinely a good thing to stop you being lonely, right? Imagine how many people would be lonely if they didn't have people to play online gaming with, like the communities they have online, right? That's fine. It is the commodification of the time that is the problem.
Homes from loneliness, and men are committing suicide at the highest rate, and it's because we're not experiencing that connection anymore. And so for me, like, I think it should be addressed. Do I think the government should start legislating? I'm not so sure, but the one thing that I would love you to do for me, Peter, after tonight is we need to ban social media and smartphones in schools for children.
Hang on a minute. Don't most schools already ban mobile phones?
I think so, yeah. That was the problem with the, no offense to her, because, you know, Brianna Jay's mum thing, saying like, oh, we need to do
Esther.
this. And you're like, and the point was made to her and to the people back in that thing that, like, that it would affect such a tiny number of schools because they already do this.
When I was at school, like secondary school, this is, you know, in the mid-2000s, 20 years ago, we banned phones then as well. Mobile phones were banned 20 years ago. I'm sure that the rules on these things have only become more stringent over time.
Yeah. Now, I've got no problem with them passing a piece of legislation that says ban the phones. Okay, fine. It's not really that big a issue because, like I say, it's, you know, it's already banned in most schools. But, yeah, okay, do it then. And then when it doesn't make any impact, what then? Like, what's the actual answer here? Because you're asking us to do a thing that's already being done.
Yeah, exactly. Also want to say, I respond to a comment in chat. Social media is not your friend. It pushes unhealthy engagement practices, manipulation and invasive personal tracking and advertising. The community side is nice, but nothing new, and it's designed more to shape you into narrative now, give you a full sense of indication by pairing like-minded people. I can understand that. I think it's different based upon the revenue model of whatever website you're using, right? But as you say, it's the personalized tracking, advertising, and unhealthy engagement practices. But that's driven by the desire to target adverts at you. If they want to hyper engage you so they can continue targeting adverts at you, regardless of the social externalities that might cause because of the kind of interactions it will make you have, like contentious interactions, driving conflict online. That drives engagement, right? But that's different when it's happening on a social media app like Twitter or Facebook, where you're interacting with strangers, than it would be if you're on Discord, for example, and it is just a community of like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not into government meddling, but the reason we need to do that is if you saw a 10-year-old vaping, you would be absolutely appalled, right? Nobody would think that's fine, but yet we see 10-year-olds scrolling like this. And if we want societal change, we have to do what we did with smoking and go, you can't smoke inside anymore. Well, you know what, you can't have your phones anymore. So please, Keir Starmer doesn't seem to think this is a problem. Every single parent I know across the country, and I'm from Bradford and I currently live just down the road, they're all talking about the same thing. We have to do this, and it's so easy, please.
It is something, Peter, I remember when you came on the programme, to begin with, yes, it's talking a few years back now, you were saying you're kind of open-minded about whether or not smartphones should be banned for under 16s, but you've come to the view, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that actually there shouldn't be a ban on them, despite what Alex says.
No, 97% of schools currently do ban social media as well. So the issue isn't whether we just ban the other 3%.
But that's presumably in the classroom, not necessarily in the playground.
No, in the school, no. So they have to sort of take them, they have to put them in pouches and they have to remove. So most schools, I mean, the vast majority do. But I accept the challenge that we have. Already this year, we have forced social media companies and platforms to remove illegal content from their platforms. And we know that things like the horrific sites like suicide sites have now been removed from our country, and some of them have preemptively banned it and put statements out saying, see what happens if you put these laws in. Well, goodbye to them. They're now not available to young people. In July this year, platforms must...
Peter, do you not know what a VPN is?
No, of course they don't. Whenever any politician talks about banning things from the internet, I know they don't know what they're talking about, because that's not how it works. You can get a VPN very easily using the code from every YouTuber in the fucking world who gets sponsored by them. You can pretend to be from anywhere in the world and access anything. And on the dark web, I'm told you can access even worse.
And this guy is the Science and Technology Minister.
Well, we haven't moved far beyond the American guy, if you remember, from the 2000s, who tried to describe the internet as a series of tubes. Like, we're not... Honestly, it's still just a bunch of fucking boomers or, like, Gen X people who don't understand this technology because they didn't grow up with any of this technology. They have no idea what it is, and they don't seem to be listening to the experts, because the experts would tell them that just trying to ban this doesn't work. It's the same. The old thing about you have to start from a position of reality to get public policy possibly correct. So with the AIDS pandemic, you can't just say stop shagging, because people are not going to stop shagging. You have to actually have reality as your base point, and then construct a social public policy on that basis to get to whatever goal you want. And just saying we're going to ban this from the internet, no, you're not. You're just not.
And again, what's so frustrating is patient zero for a lot of the problems with social media. Of course, it's the incentive structure that capitalism requires of these companies, you know. But given how much of a market share Meta, Twitter, TikTok, all of these companies have over the social media space, right, it actually wouldn't be too difficult to just force these people to have less shitty algorithms. That would be a legislation you can do. Rather than just banning them, because people can just access them anyway through VPNs, you have to go to source and change the material itself. And they just don't seem to want to do that, because that will involve, again, the difficult decision of pushing back against wealthy people with vested interests, whereas that's much harder than, you know, just going, oh, we'll just ban some stuff and then forget how VPNs work.
The only way you ban it is by taking down all satellites. That's literally it. And then stopping any other new satellites getting up there. Like, that's literally the only way you're going to do it, which is obviously impractical and stupid and not going to happen. So, yeah, like you say, you have to tell Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and all these fucking pricks, the new aristocracy of the world, that they have to do X, Y, and Z. And if they don't, we're going to terms of service them. And they might change at that point. But just trying to say, oh, we're going to ban the suicide sites. No, you're fucking... And also, even if you do, like, you can go onto Twitter right now and see exploded Palestinian kids. Like, that's just the thing that you're aiding and abetting and supporting right now. You think that that's having an okay impact on the mental health of young people? Or even older people?
Anyone.
Yeah.
Make sure that all content delivered is age appropriate. So that will be a big step forward. Now, I'm looking very carefully about the next steps in this, because I've not been able to do anything because of the current law I inherited had to be implemented before I can come forward with my proposals. And I've been thinking very carefully, and the issues that Alex and yourself have talked about are front and centre. It is about children and the addictive nature of some of this, and my starting point is, what is a great childhood online? We talk about what a good childhood is offline in families and communities. What does that mean in the 21st century, in the 2020s and 30s ahead for a young person? And that's what I'm looking very carefully at, and I can't...
Cleaning a shitty arse for the rest of their life, earning minimum wage, and then going home to their Palantir home pod, because you don't get a house anymore, you just get like one of those Japanese pod rooms.
Because, you know, there's a lot of talk about age verification, for example. It's quite difficult to do that in a way that is also conducive to privacy for all users. I'm sure there are ways that we can do it there, and I'm sure that that's what Peter's looking at. I think we just have to work out the technical details.
Yeah, look, Kemi, we are in favour of banning phones at the schools for under 16s, in particular, because we know how dangerous it is. The schools want it, the parents want it.
You're never going to be in government ever again, so no one cares. You're an irrelevance.
Lots of people are suggesting, also in terms of the age at which people go online to some of the social media platforms as well. We need to change that. Look, the reality is, though, whilst the platforms and the algorithms can be bad, it's human beings, it's people who behave terribly online, and we need to call them to account as well.
And many of them are your backbenchers, yeah, we know. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Why invite this prick? Just invite a Monster Raving Looney party, at least it'd be fun.
Well, because there is an element of personal responsibility here, parental responsibility, community responsibility. But
yeah, don't like your mental health collapsing online, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
At the end of the day, you know, you are right. We are responsible as governments, as legislators, to make sure we put legislation in place. And I do think things like looking at when we ban social media accounts, when we ban phones at schools, we've got to take that responsibility as well.
Richard, you've got about 10 seconds. What do you think of what you've heard?
I think it is personal responsibility when phone addiction is a clinically diagnosed problem. It's the same with smoking. Like, we used to have the brightest minds in the world inventing, I don't know, new technologies, and now they are all plugged in Silicon Valley in trying to work out how to keep us on our phones for longer. Like, that is not, it's not just an issue for children. It's completely pervasive.
Right.
Like,
as well.
political division has completely gone out of control. Self-harm, all these issues. The correlation is almost like...
Just in general, it's just frustrating to, again, try and blame everything on just, well, the internet bad, phone bad, Black Mirror, woo. I'm like, no, there are so many kind of myriad problems with our society that have been caused by alienation and the problems of the stripping back of the public realm and the lack of community and treating everything like a market. And I'm just like, but what if too much phone is just such a stupid, simple answer, an oversimplified answer to incredibly complex problem.
Indeed. No, it's not an existential despair because you have absolutely no future. No, it's the phone. Phone bad.
Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.